Good day, good people. Michelle Dawes-Bird here, and I am always super excited to be here. We're presenting with you today, Real Chicks Rock presents Real Discussions. It is Sunday. It's a beautiful day, like I said, in the neighborhood of Atlanta. And I just wanted to greet and thank all of our listeners here, first-time listeners that are checking us out. Let me tell you a little bit about what Real Chicks Rock is all about. We're all about creatively collaborating to raise awareness regarding issues that impact women. And we do it by way of community service, public speaking, mentoring. We have workshops that we do, and we do that by the arts, which is this media platform. We have been doing this for several years. I want to say 7, maybe 8. You do the math. First show was April 16th, 2016. You do the math. I'm not that good at math. So you figure out how many years we have been doing this. I did speak to someone and they said, Michelle, you have content. Because you've been doing it, right?
That's
right?
9 years.
Right? That's a long time of doing this. And I love it. We're here every first and third Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and today is no different. Listen, I want to get into this conversation today because this woman that is sitting next to me is extremely busy. She is busy doing what she loves the most. She's so passionate about her work. Today's topic is We Are Black History. Yeah, I know. Yeah, We are Black History 365. Please do not get it twisted.
Yes.
Don't get it caught up just because we get 1 month. No, we are out here doing the work 365 days out of the year, right? It's for other people in the month of February to celebrate us, but we have been doing it, right?
Yes.
We do it every single day. Every day that the good Lord wakes us up, we are out and about our business. And so today, my beautiful guest is Charmaine Minniefield. Hi, Charmaine.
Hey, Michelle. Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad to have you. You are a very busy, let me say, and productive woman because you're always doing something. Correct?
It's true.
It is true.
It is true.
You got something today, so we're going to get right at it. I want to ask you, where are you from? Is it Fort Wayne, Indiana?
It is.
It
is. Small town.
It's a
Fort
small
Wayne,
town?
Indiana. Yep, industrial North Town.
Really? What do they produce there? Is there something in particular that they're doing?
Well, you know, if I recall, my mother worked in a wire plant, and this is the industrial North. So
yes.
I don't really know.
Okay.
Everything is produced.
Okay, everything.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Cold winters, kind of warm.
Cold winters.
Yeah, a lot of snow.
Yes. Grateful for the migration and return back to the South for that one. Yes, yes.
So being raised there, what college did you attend?
I left Fort Wayne to come to Atlanta when I was 11.
Really?
Yes, as a little girl with my mom and my brothers. And we lived in East Point off of Stone Road.
Yes.
And back when Woodland High School was there. But I was an M2M student, and I went to Riverwood in Sandy Springs.
Wow, so they transported you?
Yes, I was one of the last few M2M students.
Really?
And we got on the bus at 6 in the morning and got off the bus at 8 in the morning on the other side of town. In
Wow.
Sandy Springs, yes. And did that on the way home. So we got home at 6 o'clock at night.
You had 12-hour days?
All the way through middle school and high school.
My goodness. Were there other children that looked like you at Sandy Springs when you were there?
That's what the busing system
Right,
was for.
right.
There weren't. We all were on a bus and taken there. And, you know, I have to say, it really, it made us into strong leaders.
Yeah.
You know? And we were all fight to power and civil rights minded in middle school and high school. Representation.
Yeah, you was feeling like the Little Rock Nine a little bit. A little bit. A teeny tiny bit.
We even had some walkouts and all that.
Really?
Yeah.
You was an activist before you knew.
Look at that. It's true.
The ancestors are on you so heavy.
So when you put into these places where you're like, you know, the minority in number, and you're, and you know, you have to fight for your place. We did.
You did.
Our parents stood with us, like, you know, so we come from a long line of the same.
Wow. So we're there going to high school in Sandy Springs. What college did we attend?
Agnes Scott. In keeping with the same. Agnes Scott.
Woo.
Okay. First to go to college in my family line.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And, continued to work. There was a lot of activist work there. There was the Rodney King riots. That was, we had
90s.
In the 90s. And then we had a student who was expelled and based on racism. And we all marched on Washington then, too. We marched on the president's office, actually. And we ended up, president's house, and we ended up making a whole movement within the campus to have the president voted no confidence.
Wow.
So, yeah, activists. And I was a student leader. All of this, I was class president.
Wow.
So, yeah.
What was your major in college, interestingly?
Art. It was art. And that was really interesting because I wasn't political science or history or anything. I was an artist.
You was an artist.
I was an artist.
With a heartbeat.
With a heart.
And a conscience.
Yes. And did not play. Like we put our art out in public space to disrupt the narrative. So
he's a bad girl.
Yeah, I was trying.
In a good way.
I was trying. I was trying.
So while you're at Agnes Scott and you're an art major, when did you get this sensation or feeling that you wanted to really focus in on African type art and history, if you will?
I'll tell you, being the activist I was by that time, and I always knew my blackness. That came from family.
Okay.
Great grandma gatherings, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Mother had her generation of activism in the sense of being, aware of the disparities and the oppression of black people in the West and worldwide. And then I was very into African history and American history while in college. But what I think it came from was my religious upbringing.
Okay.
I was raised Pentecostal.
All right.
And in the Pentecostal church, we shouted, and I always saw that as a form of possession. Yes, that was, and I use the term possession, which I would have never used back then.
Right.
Now, in hindsight, because I felt like it came from an African place. It came from ceremony that channeled some form or some manifestation in our physical bodies of God.
All right.
And so, all of my work, a lot of my work that deals with memory is the retracing of that understanding of ourselves. So eventually I pursued African religious and spiritual practices in my studies and journeys and travels, and that all has continued to influence my work too, and my identity. I consider myself an African woman displaced throughout the diaspora by force. If they say, I've been doing work with indigenous folk, and they all identify with their tribe and where their people come from, and now we're also acknowledging the land they were on. Well, I acknowledge that I'm the great-granddaughter of Orly Fuqua, born in Indiana, migrating from, Central City, Kentucky, forced migrations from Tennessee, and forced settlement in Fuqua, Varina, North Carolina. Our first point of contact. That's our African journey on this side of the water.
And you know this without with Ancestry.com stuff. You did it all on your own. Now people pay money to figure that out. And you've already did the work.
I did.
You knew for a long time.
Well, I was that child that sat at my great grandmother's elbow all the time. I didn't play a lot in the streets with other kids. Everybody thought, what was wrong with her? But I sat with my great grandmother and my elders and listened to their stories, and then I of course, eventually traveled to Africa. And my grandmother was short and dark-skinned. Okay. And strong.
She sounds beautiful already.
Right. And we're 7 feet tall, and the men are 7, and we all are, women too. My great-grandfather died of black lung, coal miner in Indiana.
Wow.
They really forged the city. They built the first praise house in Indiana. So, identity was always, really close, really important to me.
Yeah, and so with you not only just studying American history, we have to attribute probably your great-grandmother and the women in your family, because the work that you do today encompasses the importance of women and the role that they play. You are really it's ceremonial in your art, and we're going to talk more about that. The roles that the women played in it, the importance of it, the significance of it, even the colorism. Like colors mean a whole thing for you, and we're going to talk more about that. So you being here in Atlanta, you went to Agnes Scott, you're an art major, you're activist on the side. When was it that you did your first project, if you will, as an artist? Do you remember?
My first project. I was always painting. Community-based project is how I would probably frame that. I started muraling in Atlanta.
All right.
To pay the bills, and loved it because it gave me a chance to work in community. And when I do a mural, generally I identify a community member that lives in that area, and began to tell the story of the community in the work. And I lift up images of women ancestors in those communities to continue to hold space for our narratives as those communities are shifting and changing. And I always felt like public iconography was important, symbolism.
Yes.
Look at the monuments in the South. Well, for me, my muraling was creating monuments. So I always wanted to also create them in scale, large in scale, in order to invoke the awe of our story as Black women and Black ancestral women in community. And so I would say I want to mark that sort of coming together with my muraling. I partnered with a dope sister who's been doing historic preservation in Atlanta, Dr. Candy Tate, and her nonprofit organization, Culture Centers International, and we did a series of murals on the West Side. And one of our first murals we did was sponsored by DoSomething.org, and it was of Adrienne Herndon. And we worked with the Atlanta Beltline to put it on the West Side Trail.
Nice.
And all the partners that were involved, Spelman bought volunteers that day, Hands on Atlanta.
Nice.
Covered all of our materials. I'd worked with Hands on Atlanta many years as a muralist. And during the King holiday, we would do a King holiday mural together,
Nice.
Hands on Atlanta. So we brought them in, and we unveiled it in the community during King holiday. And I would say that would be my first community-based project.
You've done, Charmaine, some amazing work here in the city, and you've partnered or worked with some organizations that we know. You were a former producer at the MLK Center, right? You've done some work there.
Yes.
National Black Arts is probably, was that your baby?
That was your
love?
That was my call to fame. I would say that my signature time in the city.
Yes.
I produced the King holiday in the city.
Nice.
And
thank you for that.
Thank you. And that was such a special time. I really want to bring some of these things back.
Yes.
That was a youth serving project, the King Summit. And whole families would come to the King District for leadership training in nonviolence, and we turned it into an arts festival, child. I mean, literally. we had a freedom rally in Ebenezer.
Wow.
Don't play with our freedom rallies. They were awesome over the years. And I remember in that project, my last King holiday, we honored Mrs. King.
Nice.
We honored Mrs. King, and we did a whole tribute with Sonia Sanchez and Toshi Reagan
Beautiful.
in New Ebenezer.
Yes.
So, but doing that was important, and then the National Black Arts Festival. I was doing both at the same time. Actually, one was a consultant, and one was my full-time gig. And the festival time, I was hired by Dwight Andrews, the renowned musician, pastor of First Congregation Church, head of the music division at Emory University, Dwight Andrews, legend. Deborah Richardson, also.
Yes.
I mean, activist, leader, women's issues in the city. Amazing. And the board of the festival back then, that was Shirley Franklin.
Yes.
That was Curly Dawson.
The Franklin years.
Those are luminaries in the city, and they were I consider them my elders. And then I was an assistant. I was in my 20s, and I was assistant to all of the curators, and had the honor of working with with Ed Spriggs and Akua McDaniels and Joy Peters and Tina Dunkley. I mean, Atlanta luminaries.
Iconic people, yes.
They were my elders.
Yes.
So during that time, our banner of work was on art activism, artist as activist. And I continued that. Like that resonated with me. I galvanized the next generation in that work. And then the next generation of artists that I worked with are all, I was a part of bringing Funk Jazz Cafe to the National Black Arts Festival with Jason.
Shouts out to Jason Orr. Yes, we like Jason Orr.
And all of those, and so but it's so interesting because the arts community and field, I really have to say I feel like I held my place in that history. And though I was in the shadows, as a producer, I wasn't always on the stage and singing. Yeah. But I made it my point to advocate for, especially the local and the young artists, to be a part of the.
Yeah, and people feel that, Charmaine. They felt that. They resonate that with you. They appreciate you for that work, and they know. I mean, you walk in the room, and people like that. We know Charmaine. Like you feel the love.
I did my part.
You feel the
love.
I'm
grateful. Yeah. Atlanta's home.
Yeah, Atlanta is home.
Yeah,
it is a great
because
space.
Of that, the family. It feels we're an extended family.
Yeah, the community is awesome because we all pull together. And you guys have wonderful stories of your contributions to the scene, and there is a resurrection, if you will, or an ongoing renaissance or voice, because shouts out to Kimmy, right? Your sister, Kimmy Bennings, right? There you go.
Everybody,
and just the photo shoot, A Great Day in Atlanta.
Great Day in Atlanta.
And just the position of having leaders in Atlanta understand the contributions that artists like yourself have made for the culture and for the city and for the community. So it's very important that your work is resonated, it's continued on, and that if people that have the same interests and desires have a place that they can call home and be led by you, because you're iconic now. So you can pass on those teachings so we don't miss a beat, right?
No, we don't miss a beat.
We don't want to miss a beat.
Let the wave continue.
Yeah.
Let the circle continue.
Yeah.
I mean, the elders, we're now the aunties.
Yeah, I know.
That's what it is.
We're cute, though.
Ain't
we're cute. We're cute.
Reverse agent. Reverse agent.
We're cute because we are aunties. We are. Yeah, we are the aunties, but we're cute. We just, and we'll dance with them. We'll talk with them. We'll hold them accountable. But we are past. We are in a position where we know better, so we should be doing better. And so we have to pour into the cups that are
like we're poured into us.
Yeah. We have to. You were a lecturer at Spelman as well?
Yes, I was.
What did you teach? Was it art?
Oh, I did. Now, I taught figure drawing.
Really?
With Fahamu teaching painting.
Oh, wow.
And Natalie Madden.
Wow.
Teaching mixed media.
Man.
That was a powerful set of...
Ooh.
We rocked that department. I mean... At the time that Spelman was making a decision of whether they were going to continue the fine arts degree.
Yes.
We were the professors. Ooh. And the students rose up to protest the decision to dismantle that fine arts department. Because we had converted scores of students to the fine arts degree. And that was where...
Converted.
Like they had all left their other degrees.
Converted. Like Pied Pipers. Like pulling people in. I mean, they were like seeing...
is the painting
Okay.
And then Myra Green came into Atlanta, came with the photography on them. Whew. I mean, man, we really... And that was a lovely time, too.
Yes.
I had a chance to work with Andrea Barnwell and bring students into the museum and just some of our other elders and luminaries over at Spelman. I'd always work with Spelman in my role as a producer and curator, but to be on the team was really special.
Awesome.
Really
That's
special.
phenomenal work.
Grateful for that.
What led you to make the decision to go to Africa? Like, I mean, you're having all of these beautiful opportunities, right? Doors opening up. The engagements are happening. You're connecting with fellow artists here. You can see you're depositing into people. You're resonating. So why would you want to go to Africa at this point?
Well, I consider Africa an extension of all of that.
I got you.
I wanted to build a bridge.
I got you.
for both my family and other artists to do the work of Sankofa, and to unite the African family.
Yes.
From the continent there and into the diaspora. And I, like my elders and ancestors before, know that it's art and culture that holds that. That is the stream of that ashe and that knowledge. So I was over there looking for land to build an artist compound and got stranded.
No, you did not.
Yeah, that's what happened. I got stranded. My flight was due back on March 16th, and I couldn't get back. And I had Fumi with me, my little girl. Yeah.
And so how long did that turn out to be, that stay?
14 months.
Wow.
The borders were closed for 8 months after that. And I had already paid the rent on my compound, which was customary there, for a year in advance. And so I stayed on.
Wow.
After the borders opened, I stayed on. And I just used the time then to just be an artist in residence, is how I did it. And I modeled what I was intending to create in Africa for other artists. And all of this is inspired by Kehinde Wale's Black Rock, but mine is like roots reggae version,
Okay, roots
reggae. Right, in the Gambia.
Okay.
And the Gambia has that vibe. It's basically like Jamaica over there.
Really?
They were colonized by the English as well.
Of course they were. Who wasn't?
They were all, well, they were originally colonized by the French.
Okay.
And thought their land wasn't valuable because it was so small and was surrounded by this river. But the waterways proved to be valuable in the slave trade.
Okay.
And they have 6 slave ports in this tiny.
Wow.
2 million in population, about the size of Georgia, and it's surrounded by the River Gambia, so it's like a drive-through.
Really?
Yes. So it is where we come from. Like, it was a significant port.
It was a throughway, if you will.
Yes,
6 ports.
Yes. So when we got here to the Gullah Geechee corridor, it looked like the Gambia. It looked like Senegal, Gambia, that whole western coast. And so much of our Gullah Geechee tradition, sound, food, definitely the food, and the rice in particular. Gold rice comes from the Gambia.
I would have thought you were a Gullah Geechee. You have
My Pique Verona is
you have that vibe. I would have never
thought
Fort Wayne, Indiana.
It's the migration. Migration of us.
I got you.
But in Fort Wayne, we were cooking Gullah food.
Cause you glowing.
I didn't even know that I just thought it was black.
No.
Black. And then in Atlanta we call it Southern. But when you get to the points of entry into this country in the Gullah Geechee corridor, you realize it's Gullah. Yeah. All of it's Gullah. And then over in the Gambia, you should see the stew pots. It's the same. And when I was there as my artist in residence, I just followed traces of my great grandmother's memories in recipes, in materials and skills, and in movement practices. And that's the ring shout. She taught me the ring shout. So how did I learn the ring shout in the Midwest? Indiana? Industrial? And it must have migrated in her body, in her memories, from what? So I used the time while I was stranded to follow and find evidence of her.
It was a discovery time in your life.
It was.
And then to have your daughter with you, that's awesome.
That was interesting.
Because it could have been, well, baby, I'll be back. It could have been a trip that you couldn't take her, and she could have been here, and that'd have been
a turn of events that had her with us, and it was just all divine.
It was.
It was all divine, and she was transformed. She came back like a whole nother. We both.
Yeah.
It was a paradigm shift, and a little unsettling coming back. Like, we had to sort of get our bearings, and she certainly, because of everybody and COVID and schooling and
yes.
all. But me, I don't know. I have forgotten names of roads and how to get places, and everybody's. Faces I knew, but names, like you totally I became completely oriented to Africa.
Are you going to go back?
Oh, I have a home now that I'm working to build. We worked with a team of young volunteers and civic leaders there to do food drives during the quarantine because they shut the markets down. And
how do people going to eat if the markets are shut
and
down?
then also, the micro exchange every day is what fed families.
Yeah.
So if the market was closed, families didn't eat.
Exactly.
And if they didn't have the produce growing in their own yards, then they literally didn't eat. So we did a food drive, and we ended up with enough to feed a whole village for a month.
Wow.
And then we did that again even after I
awesome.
returned. We did it 3 times now. We've been doing this drive. But all of that led up to actually our setting our roots down there. We did not stay in the tourist district.
No, of course not.
No, we were in the bush.
Yeah.
We were in the bush. And our family there showed us the path to the indigenous gatherings, the celebrations, took us to John Jambure, slave ship port.
Nice.
Jufere, where Kunta Kinte was taken. We met the Alcalo, a woman, throned a king over her brothers.
Oh,
When
you met a woman king before the movie came out.
Woman king. Yes.
You met the people before
Woman king. I have pictures of me with her, and she's
Wow.
she's since passed away.
Oh,
I know, right? But just those magical experiences all happen, and so. Of course, we have roots there now,
Yeah.
and I was able to secure land in Sanyan, which is a beloved village there, that with access to the coast, very nearby, and all of the villages is 14 miles of developed, like tourist developed coast, but Sanyan is the one that has not that. Last stretch has been held by the people. So I'm really grateful to be in Sanyan, and we're slowly building our compound.
nice.
Yeah.
I want to
And our goal is to be able to ultimately host artists
Yes, I was
in
going to
artist
ask you.
residencies
Yes,
that want to also do their own Sankofa.
Yes. You have rites of passage written all over you. Like you're going to help other young people
That's my goal. That's my
understand who they are, where do they come from, and all of that wonderfulness.
But the artists are the griots. The artists in Western and in the diaspora world, we are actually the griots that still have place and importance in indigenous societies on the continent. And so I just want to show contemporary artists plug in because once I got there, it was like a flood of inspiration and channeling and direction and vibration. And it was like all of my ancestors wanted to tell me the story. They wanted me to tell their story. They wanted me to tell this story. And this story was mine. So everyone plug in. And we are. And once you actually go home and you spend that time there, you realize that, wow, I was never lost. It was always there. I'm recalling things I've always known.
Right. Ooh, that part.
Okay, which is the ring shout.
Ooh.
The ring shout. A traditional African American worship and gathering practice where we embody the memories of our ancestors to recall freedom. Here on this side, we hid the messages of our identity in plain sight.
Yes.
So we merged our ceremony and celebration into worship, which was allowed.
Yes.
Which was allowed.
Yes.
And we remembered ourselves. So I'm remember.
Yes.
Just recall. And that message, that information, that highway of power, Ashe, came through my great-grandmother's line. Just remember, hold on, that's how I know how to shout. My great-grandfather sent as a letter that he sent to his sister in Kentucky, Central City, Kentucky, on the sharecropping plantation they were born on, and told her they need a church up here for the children. So you all need to move up here to be with us. And then that's when still the sanctuary we gather in now.
Yes.
Makeshift wobbly
Yes.
lopsided and all that, laying on this small land in our hometown, now burgeoning town, was built. was built. And it was like, just allow for yourself to go into those memories and
some of us
see
are
yourself
not even,
on the other side.
Some of us, Charmaine, we're not even dreaming, because of the rat race, the things that we have to take in today. We're not even resting. Right? Some are not even sleeping. We're not even resting. We're not dreaming.
I did not know that I had not really actually ever rested.
See?
I had never rested.
See? And I think it's prescribed so that we can't tap into who we are.
And I think it's all tied into, I remember when we took the ship from the mainland in Senegal over to Gorée Island. And then the same thing, experience, emotion came over me when we did the same from the mainland over to the island in Juforé. The raging ocean. That's like the first layer of mind control. You're not going to make it back.
I got you.
And then everything else, the distance, all of the Middle Passage, then oppression, then all of this, and then the capitalist systems that continue to work us in these fields.
Right, that's waiting for you. Yeah, when you get there.
Consumerism. Like literally, we're still plugged into this matrix of productivity and hustle and grind. We don't know that we haven't rested. We haven't taken a break.
Yeah,
we haven't allowed the sun to just warm us.
Yeah.
So during that time, that was what the gift was I was given. It's like you're given rest. And you can just decide what it is that you want to do. You don't have any other obligations except just to pursue joy. And there was Fumi, my 6-year-old, pointing the way to joy.
Isn't that beautiful?
So,
talk to me about this water tower. I saw it. I laid eyes on it. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful mural inside. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
I did the water tower before I left. I finished it that year before I left.
Awesome.
It was commissioned by the Historic District Development Corporation, sponsored by the City of Atlanta.
Nice.
And
she's just throwing a few names.
I'm grateful. I recognize my blessings and my support and where it comes from. But and it's been closed and locked because we have to still raise the funds to create the ramp to make it ADA accessible. Yeah. So, but my studio's across the street in the Studioplex. Both are historic structures. The Studioplex housed Cotton, and the water tower protected it.
Yes.
It was the sprinkler
system.
Look at you. And so the mural inside is the first mural that I've painted on a historic building that had a touch of slavery or connection to. And I did a rendition of the ring shout on the inside. It's an image of little girls holding hands. And I called it, what do I call it? Cosmic Cipher Prayer Circle.
There you go.
Cosmic Cipher Prayer Circle. And the inside, we didn't even realize as we were painting it, because we were painting, African fabric with the colors of water is what we were thinking. But the pattern behind little girls looked like tentacles. And the image looked reptilian behind it, scale.
Oh.
Like, okay, this is something more than what we anticipated. And the 15 feet of the visual you see looks like just a slice of some other realm that we must have opened. And I closed the door to that water tower and only allowed Black women to help me on that wall.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And we did prayer and all that.
Of course.
So that water tower is sort of a juju. I consider it a black god.
It is. In the middle of the city. Right on Auburn Avenue.
Yes. Right at the cusp of the Beltline before it becomes Emmon Park. And I just want to also acknowledge the support of the Historic District Development Corporation in preserving the identity and culture of that district for our city all these years. M. Tamanika Youngblood, one of the founders of HDDC, who saved and repurposed Studioplex.
Nice.
And my residency in artist studio and access to that water tower is a part of that legacy.
Yes.
And so we've been holding space for Black narratives there now for 2 years, and excited about the continued programming in that area and its connection even to the Praise House Project. and the work that we're doing right now. So.
What's your next projects? You got some things in mind?
Ooh.
I know you support a lot of people. Like, you love people doing some phenomenal things. Like, Kimberly had her exhibit, and so that was great. You were there. You were like 10 toes in. You were so excited. You are cheering other people as they're doing some work. But what do you have going on?
What do I have going on? Well, cheering other people, I create in community.
Okay.
Like the ring shout.
Yes.
I'm inspired by the work of others all the time.
Yeah.
And it just feeds me and I feed them. That's how it sort of works. The Praise House, which was presented by Flux Projects at Oakland Cemetery in 2021 after I returned back from Africa. I bought footage of the ring shout as it was performed in Africa and made us all a part of it. It was presented at Oakland Cemetery to honor the 800 unmarked graves there. It went on to receive a National Endowment for the Arts Our Town grant.
Nice. And
since 2021, we have been beating these streets to raise the funds to match that grant to present the Praise House in 3 more communities. And Kimberly's work is a part of creating that Praise House. So over this next couple of years, I'm going to be presenting Praise Houses in the communities.
Nice.
The first will be at Emory, and it will acknowledge their role in slavery and dispossession. That has been a journey. That's really, really important and powerful. And we're glad to be able to do that one actually first because of the history and the chronology of it all, the order of it. So we're going to do that when that opens in October. And we're doing, Kimmy Bennings is producing the opening ceremonies at Glen Memorial Church. Oh yes, there will be a community choir. There's going to be dancing and singing. Plan to bring your tambourines. Bring your tambourines.
I'm excited.
Okay.
Because Kimmy don't play.
Right. That's the opening ceremony of the next Praise House.
I'll be there.
Okay. Then there's 2 more. And we had hoped to have one during Juneteenth this year to be the first one, but we have to hold off and do it next year. And that one's going to be at Southview Cemetery, and it will acknowledge the victims of the 1906 race massacre.
Ooh.
Southview Cemetery is the site of the ending site of Brownsville, which was targeted by the white mob.
Yes.
It came from 5 Point Station, tore down Auburn Avenue, and ended in Brownsville 3 days later, targeting both of those communities to disrupt Black potential. So the Praise House in Southview invites reinvestment in that community.
Isn't that
as an act of repair.
Ooh.
I've gotten a national fellowship.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
She didn't say city or state. National gold. Yeah.
Right? Well,
national, that's huge.
I'm really excited about that. Because it's bringing attention to this work that's happening in the South. You know, a Black woman, forced migration north, but returned to the South, and telling the story, you know, in spite of violent acts of erasures over history and contemporary. The effort of erasure of our narratives right now. So if this wasn't an ancestors foretelling, while I'm in Africa going, we got work to do. So we're in the business of doing this work. So that's going to premiere as a part of that fellowship that will culminate in of next year during Juneteenth.
Awesome.
So we're positioning that whole project for next year.
Awesome.
And then we have a number of other target sites we want to see happen. DeKalb County is one of our major partners, along with the city of Atlanta.
Nice.
And so we're going to put a Praise House at Beacon Hill, which was the all-Black town that was erased, and the site of a recent removal of a Confederate monument.
Right.
So we want to sort of introduce the idea of freedom monuments into the landscape.
Go ahead.
And our collaborators are coming along the way.
Yes.
So the opening at Emory is really a music explosion, but also we have a dance component where Dr. Julie B. Johnson, the head of Spelman's dance department, is our collaborator. And like we did for Kimberly, who premiered the digital and technology.
Yeah, she did. It was beautiful. It was so nice.
You know, Kimberly is a an alum of Georgia State. So we activated a partnership with Georgia State's and their creative media industry lab for her to just flow in over this next year and a half.
Beautiful.
While we do these projects and expand the digital media component.
It's so strategic.
So the dance folks are going to bring the shouters from Darien, Georgia, and we're going to record them in a giant green room and capture them as a motion capture.
Ooh.
The elders performing the ring shout in digital space. I can't. So that's with Julie B. Johnson and Giwa Mata.
Yes.
Giwa and Mata, they're going to perform at the opening thing. They're going to perform the song, Right to Freedom.
You got to have them. Right.
And that's the music. And then I'm trying to big up all my, music scene because I see the work that Salah Nansa.
Yes. Shouts out to Salah Nansa.
What? All our DJs.
Yeah, all of them. Kemet, all of them.
Medicine. They are shaman. They're shaman and women. And Salah, who mixed and composed that amazing anthem, and the vocalist extraordinaire, Melisha Jessie Taylor. That song will be the center point of the opening ceremony. So I'm, if I can just activate all around, and really the truth is I'm on not just my collaborators, and I'm watching the community all fold into this prayer of remembrance and ancestral veneration and holding space and holding spaces that are sacred, like Morris Brown. And all, the whole MLK corridor and lifting up, historic preservation as important in community
and revitalizing communities
based on Black narratives that are valuable instead of erasing them so easily. So we're on a path of also we want to do, I'm learning to say what it is that I'm visioning as affirmation to it manifesting and becoming. That's what I'm doing, but I also have to acknowledge I have to fundraise to make it so. But I'm calling in the abundance in that way. That's this national fellowship. That's the National Endowment for the Arts, Our Town grant. That's the partnership with the city and the counties of the metro area and the colleges and universities that have to grapple with this history, in an honest way, and calling it all is a gathering. The same way we gathered in praise houses before. So that's what's on the horizon, and praise houses are on the horizon. But I also have my own fine arts practice and paintings that I do. I did the exhibition at Emory Indigo Prayers, and I have a new series of those works that I'm working on.
What is your favorite color, Charmaine? Tell the people.
Well, I would say indigo. You don't have blue wall. Indigo in the Gambia. That was awesome stuff, Michelle. I ended up in a indigo compound run by all women. And here I am, don't know what's going to happen next or what's going to happen in the world, just following my intuitions and desires. Ended up in a compound of women who look like me. Beautiful. Fulani women, right? Who are the keepers of indigo in the Gambia. And that's the indigo that I paint with now. So my goal is to take my indigo now to my points of migration in my family line. And do a series of works in each of those spaces. And that's sort of what I'm on. And then to that end, also, we want the Praise House to tour. We want Indigo Prayers to tour. And the next stop for Indigo Prayers in particular is in Athens at the Linden Museum. It'll open for Juneteenth this year.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody that you haven't worked with that you would like to?
Oh my goodness. That whole wing of folk in that area of town. And over there, I want to just activate all of those folks. And then the legacy residents over there in South Atlanta. I just want to be able to,
It's a whole bunch of people.
It just never ends. And that's part of it too. Like part of my fellowship, we have a mental health counselor. And artists understand this because some of our ancestors in the arts, their story tells the story of how difficult sometimes it is to hold the imagination of what we do in our bodies, and what comes from that, and just instability, and how are we going to manage all that. And I remember in Africa when I felt literally the flood over my body, like physical movement of energy and ideas.
Wow.
I had to tell the ancestors, I need to prioritize and maybe hone in on just maybe 2 or 3
at a time.
So that's how we ended up with indigo prayers, praise houses and ring shouts, and artist residencies. Like that, we could do that. Let's do that,
Yeah.
So I'm on that same prayer right now.
Okay.
Whenever I finally paint, I have narrowed all of this down and come to full stop and rest again. And I'm beginning to tell my story again. And that means that I have to like allow my curiosity to lead me into the next set of relationships, the next collaborations, the next communities, and the next sets of history that we really want to delve into. My personal history is where I'm on, but for the work, I'm really interested in, moving almost in a spiral manner in the region and beyond, to just continue to tell Black narratives and let it become contagious in communities. Where's your folks from, Michelle?
Jamaica.
Yeah,
the West Indies.
The West Indies. Okay, have you done any of the research before?
I haven't done any of the
Okay, so
work.
who's the eldest ancestor that you knew before they passed in Jamaica?
My grandmother.
What was her name?
Daphne Alberta Rod.
Okay. Do you know how she ended up in Jamaica?
Her mom, and I don't know if it was always there, if they came from London and migrated there, or vice versa, but there was always a connection between Jamaica and London. And then some ancestors moved to Toronto. So it's always been that. And then, we went, they went to New York, and that's when I came along. So I'm first generation born here.
Okay.
So that's I
Ooh,
wear
how
that.
Cool is that?
I wear that proudly.
All right. That means you have access to narratives beyond these shores.
Exactly.
In just one generation.
Yeah.
And then there's this triangle in your own family.
Yeah.
Okay, so London. What happens for me is that I start going, let me go into these archives. Let me go to do this research. We have access to the Slave Ship Voyages database.
Ooh.
So and the database is intracontinental. So I'm able to trace the migration of my family to Fuquay-Varina.
Wow.
Okay, and then intercontinental, so I can find out where they came, what port they came from. So I really want to get into some of that, but I didn't do the formal genealogy.
Right. You did on your own.
I follow memories, and I'm finding evidence of cultural identity as memories, evident in my own body, in my own relatives that I knew.
Right.
And now that's where that came from in this space that I'm seeing it as completely viable. And it matches any actual genealogy that I'm also
It's all
finding.
in alignment.
So, I'm encouraging folks to join me.
Yeah.
Join me.
Yeah.
And the goal is to actually, Stan Seth is doing a freaking cruise.
Yes.
To Egypt.
Yes.
Like, when can we get on a diasporic journey that is just, a Sankofa
Make it happen.
return,
Make it happen, Charmaine.
And do it like
Make it
travel
happen.
noir. We're all
Make it happen.
Yes, we're here to salute our elders in the village that we come from. We're also here to preserve, or in the South, come to the South and come to the historic burial grounds where your ancestors are, and do community service and invest in the historic preservation of those spaces.
There are some of us that know there's a calling on our life. We don't know where it resonates from originally, but we want to see it to fruition. And even if we can't find it within our own family line, we know within community, right? We'll be working amongst the right people doing the work. right? And passing it on to those, maybe our children, our children's children that have that desire and an inkling to know, and they'll pay it forward as well. So I thank you for all that you do. Yeah, we're gonna have lunch one day.
Yes.
It'll be a working session, because
Yes,
then you
please.
can show me how and what to do and how to research and find my people and all that kind of stuff and do that.
You know, I'm inviting folks to do that for Juneteenth. Let that
Yes,
be the
yeah,
PSA.
yeah.
Since we don't have a praise house up at Southview this year, I invite everyone,
Yes.
and we'll be working with Winnie Hemphill, the descendant of one of its founders, who's the current executive director at Southview. You must tour Southview. It is stunning. It's a stunning monument of Black achievement.
I will.
Established in 1886 by 6 once enslaved, now business owners. Acquired land. That story is interesting. Everyone who rests there, luminaries.
Wow.
C.T. Vivian, John Lewis, Hank Aaron, all the King family, Geneva Hagebrooks, all. So take a tour of Southview Cemetery, but plug into their historic preservation efforts.
Okay.
And others, like where does your family rest?
Right.
Find out who's managing that lot. Be involved. Create a fund. Create a Sankofa return to those spaces too. Like come to the South. You know, even Penn Center. I love me some Penn Center in South Carolina on the Gullah Geechee corridor. You know, like. It's those are our spaces of home as well. And you can see our points of entry and then also go all the way back to Africa with it.
Awesome. How can people find you, Charmaine? Where can the
me?
people find you on social media? Social media, what's happening? Can we find you on Facebook, Instagram,
Oh my goodness, y'all pray for
website,
me. I'm getting all of my
emails?
infrastructure together because I am now an actual institution. I
Yes,
have my
you
own
are.
nonprofit.
Congrats!
Yay! The Praise House Project, Inc.
Nice.
Established in 2021, and you can find us at praisehouseproject.org for that.
Nice.
But my own creative practice is CharmaineMinniefield.com.
Okay.
So check me out. And then I had to say prayer first about my infrastructure because I am working on my social media presence for my brand, Praise House Project. But you can find me at Black Angel ATL on Instagram. And then Facebook is me, my name, always. I keep it real and stay connected as much as I can. And I repost everybody's cool stuff.
Yeah,
That's
I
like
saw
my
you.
thing.
Yeah, you do
That's
that
my
all the
thing.
time. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You
Pass
you're-
it forward. So
you're
pass
a
once you
big
come.
supporter.
Once you come to my sites, share my things, and then
Yeah.
pass it forward. But our hashtag, Praise House Project, and Remembrance as Resistance.
Got it. I want to help in the feeding the people in your community since you do it 3 times a
I'd
year.
like that.
I like to do what I can to
I'd
help
like that.
as an extension because we're bridging the gap. You need help.
Yes,
You need help in Western
Yes.
to help.
Yes.
vice
And
versa.
over there, they're facing climate change.
Ugh.
Real time.
Like real time.
Real time, yeah. Like the ocean is behaving differently. And
Wow.
folks are in danger. And the floods this year because the rain never stopped. And they have like their makeshift infrastructure where they all come volunteer and fill things and dig stuff and make the water move. Couldn't keep up because the rain was
just wouldn't stop.
nonstop. So we're preparing for the next rating season this year.
Okay.
And we're talking to as many community and global relief efforts as we can to bring investment into the Gambia. So
Sounds good.
look out for that too.
I will. Thank you, Charmaine, for your time.
you.
This was amazing. That's my time. You know me, Real Chicks Rock. I'm everywhere. Find me on Instagram, Real Chicks Rock. I'm on Twitter, Real Chicks Rock. I'm on Facebook, Real Chicks Rock. We got the website, realchicksrock.com. Go copy your t-shirt, subscribe so you can get our email blasts and our blogging. And subscribe, like, and share to this podcast on our YouTube channel, Real Chicks Rock. Until next time, let me leave you with this. May you live to be 100 and I live to be 100 minus a day. So I never knew that beautiful people like you had passed away. Until next time, be well, take care, and continue to rock on. Thank you for checking out Real Chicks Rock Presents Real Discussions. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next show.